Come on in, guys. Welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're counting down the top 5 most invisible players in Survivor history. This is the second in a 2-part video, so if you want to know who the 10th through 6th most invisible players in history are, go watch part 1. It's okay, this video will still be here when you get back. You probably already heard this spiel in the first video, so I'll keep it brief. I'm ranking by confessionals per episode, which is not a perfect measurement of visibility, but it's probably our best. We're seriously through the looking glass now on players who received an average of less than half a confessional per episode, and we'll be doing our best to talk about their games as well as why on earth they got, no content. All that said, let's dig into Survivor's 5 most invisible players ever. At number 5 is Purple Kelly in Survivor Nicaragua, with a confessional average of 0.45 per episode. Here she is, the most famously invisible contestant in Survivor history, a woman whom fans pay homage to every time they deem someone purple after a streak of little airtime. The woman, the myth, the legend, Purple Kelly. And incredibly, there are 4 more players more invisible than a woman famous for being invisible. Kelly started her game on the LaFleur tribe, deemed Purple Kelly by her tribe early on for the purple streak in her hair and to distinguish her from the other Kelly on the tribe. And then she fades into the background for the next 11 episodes, deliberately removed from the narrative of the season because of her day 28 quit. Up until then, though, Purple Kelly was playing a decent if unremarkable game, consistently in the majority pre-merge as a solid number for power players like Brenda and Sash, not to mention not receiving a single vote the entire game. Purple Kelly was on her way to a cool 100K as a losing finalist until her and Nayanka quit together on day 28, a completely unprecedented event that incensed Jeff beyond all reason. Purple Kelly is on the receiving end of probably the most vindictive edit in Survivor history for this very quit. Literally never shown at all except for a handful of confessionals, which I assume were handpicked for how not super smart she sounds in them.
Reward was for a horseback ride and breakfast, and you get to milk your own milk, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. You get to milk your own milk, and that sounds amazing. We should have won.
Hilariously, Survivor's complete and utter sandbagging of Purple Kelly backfired and made her weirdly popular in the fandom for both her bizarre quotations and her invisibility.
But it's like, I've been sucking it up for 28 days. I have nothing left to suck.
Ever since, the term purple's been entered into the Survivor parlance to refer to someone who isn't getting much screen time, meaning she'll ironically never be forgotten. Purple Kelly will live in Survivor lore forever. They unintentionally gave her a legacy when they specifically intended to avoid that. Way to go, Kelly. Now I call that milking your own milk. At number 4 is Leaf in Survivor One World, with a confessional average of 0.4 per episode. Leaf was one of the few decent human beings in One World, although that's a rather low bar, and also possibly one of the worst players in One World, which is a rather high bar. One World was divided by gender, and Leaf was obviously on the male tribe, Monono, everyone's favorite tribe. Leaf was in a decent majority in the Misfits Alliance, but made what is possibly the worst move in Survivor history that somehow didn't backfire in Episode 4. In a tribe split between the jocks and the nerds, Leaf was sorta trying to play both sides, as he's not super into Colton's whole shtick. In Episode 4, Leaf tells Bill that Colton was gunning for him on their last vote when Matt went home, and Colton catches wind of this from Michael, who's on the outs and understandably trying to throw anyone not him under the bus. Of course, it wouldn't be One World if we didn't get a sexist, racist, or ableist comment from Colton when he hears this news. Colton convinces the tribe to give up immunity and go to tribal, but the decision must be made by unanimous consent. Somehow, despite repeatedly being told by Tarzan to his face that he's getting voted out, Leaf agrees to this lunacy. Colton railroads the tribe into voting out Bill here instead, but this is seriously an all-time bad move from everyone on this tribe, but especially Leaf. He's told multiple times he will be voted out if he agrees to give up immunity. He agrees. Leaf, why?
What do you think all of us should do?
I only make so much of this because, well, what else is there to talk about with Leaf? He got to the merge and was one of the last few men left and then picked off by Kim and Sabrina's alliance. He really wasn't the greatest confessional giver, but I suppose he did sleep in a box sometimes, and he is the only Survivor castaway to make an appearance in a Paul Blart movie. Wow, mini Ace Frehley. Personally, I've always thought of Leaf as more of a Peter Criss, though. At number 3 is Whitney in Survivor South Pacific, with a confessional average of 0.36 per episode. Whitney is perhaps best known for her showmance turned romance turned wedding mance with fellow Savai castaway Keith, who ironically just missed out on an appearance on this top 10. Keith and Whitney aligned early and positioned themselves as the perpetual swing votes on Savai, oscillating their loyalty between Ozzy and Jim. Whitney's also infamous for being part of the alleged picking on of Cochran that ended up contributing to his post-merge flipping, leading to her own downfall in the game as Upolu picked off her tribe one by one. If Savai took control at the merge, Whitney and Keith were both poised to do very well in my opinion, as Ozzy's massive threat level, Jim's big move-itis, and Savai's general distaste for Cochran would have given them the option of continuing to play swing vote until the endgame. Although let's be honest, Sophie probably still wins somehow. As for why Whitney's so invisible, my guess is it has to do with a certain situation at home. Survivor loves their on-island romances to the point they'll play up romances that don't even really exist. So Keith and Whitney's situation is certainly unique as the only genuine on-island romance that the show never really leaned into. I've really got to hand it to Whitney though. After the merge, literally anytime she's on screen, she's disparaging Cochran for his flip, maintaining a level of anger for 6 full days until she's voted out that is genuinely impressive.
You disgust me.
I mean, I thought I was a passionate person, but dang, Whitney. At number 2 is Hope in Survivor Karamoan, with a confessional average of 0.33 per episode. Hope is our third and final fan on this list, best known for her brief showmance with Eddie and as one of the members of the Cool Kids Alliance in the early days of GOTA. Within this alliance, Eddie and Hope are particularly bonded over their mutual good looks. Really, this is a thing Eddie says. However, Reynold, Eddie, Hope, and Allie make a classic Survivor mistake, not being able to count, apparently not realizing that there are 4 people in a 10-person tribe, which bonds the other 6 people in the tribe together out of necessity. After Allie's voted out in episode 2, the main alliance of 6 is splitting their votes between Hope and Eddie to avoid any idle shenanigans. Shamar's not terribly on board with this plan though, and tries to throw Hope a lifeline, first implying there's a way she can stay safe, wink wink, then saying he's not necessarily voting for her, wink wink, then just outright saying vote for Eddie and you'll be safe.
Always throw the vote a different way. Should always vote for one of those guys. You know, that's all I'm gonna tell you.
I'm still not sure if Hope just didn't pick up what Shamar was putting down or was so principled in her game that she fell on the sword for freaking Eddie. I don't know. Maybe she just really likes dog bars. Either way, Hope is voted out after choosing not to betray her 9-day showmance and leaves the game in episode 3 with one lousy confessional. Like her fellow GOTA tribe mate Julia, Hope just wasn't an important part of the story being told. She was on an alliance that was dissolved almost as quickly as it began, and she was a fan on a fans versus favorites season, which always results in more screen time for the favorites than for the fans. So don't feel bad, Hope. Even if you'd lasted far longer in the game, you still probably wouldn't have gotten much screen time. Silver linings. The most invisible player in Survivor history, with a confessional average of 0.33 per episode, but with many more episodes under her belt than Hope, is Chelsea in Survivor Ghost Island. The woman who inspired this list, after I briefly talked about her a few weeks ago, I was not surprised to learn that she is the most under-edited person in Survivor history. And even though she only received 4 confessionals across 12 episodes, and was hardly on screen at all, I'm ready to call her like the 3rd or 4th best player on Ghost Island. Chelsea soared through the early game in a good spot on original Navidi, voted out big Malolo threats like Brendan and Stephanie at the swap, then teamed up with Dominic to blindside Bradley at the second swap. She was riding the Navidi strong wave, but was completely willing to flip on close Navidi allies if it meant her getting further, as we'll see. But a series of unfortunate Laurel-related events stopped Chelsea from ever overthrowing Kellen, Wendell, or Dom. At Final 11, Desiree plots a Kellen blindside, intending to use Chelsea and the remaining Malolos. But Laurel tells Dom about it, resulting in Dez's early ouster. Then at Final 8, Chelsea, Kellen, Angela, Laurel, and Donathan plot a Wendell blindside, but you'll never guess who backs out at the 11th hour.
If we go with the guys tonight, take out Chelsea, there's a move next vote to take a shot at a Dom or Wendell.
Those are the two biggest threats to win this game. And I feel like tonight would be the night to aim for one. My biggest regret will be not doing it when we had a chance.
This is where Chelsea goes out of the game, both for attempting to overthrow Dom and Wendell and for her back-to-back immunity wins. I'm genuinely baffled as to why Chelsea was buried so hard. She seemed a perfectly competent confessional giver. She wasn't eliminated in any sort of controversial manner. I suppose someone had to get sidelined and the die just landed on her. Although, perhaps Chelsea's Ghost Island test was to reverse the curse of Purple Kelly. If that's the case, curse, very much unreversed. Got nothing else for ya. Don't make me milk my own milk. Like and subscribe, and I'll get you more Survivor content just like this. Until next time, don't get idled out.